Personalization is just one use case of AI.
Welcome back to this week's episode of The Executives, the show where we navigate the intricate world of executive leadership, exploring strategies, insights, and personal stories of successful professionals shaping the global business landscape. I'm your host, Majid, and joining us today is Sumaiya. She has over a decade of experience in a wide range of leadership roles in product management and growth, digital transformation, and talent management in multiple geolocations. She has won multiple awards and has been honored as 40 under 40 by Business Elite. She also was recently recognized as the top 100 most influential women of Canada. In addition, she is also a startup advisor and is often found speaking on conferences and events. Let us welcome Sumaiya. Assalamu alaikum और आज की पॉडकास्ट की किस्त में आपका खुशामदीद सुमैया.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम माजिद। मैं बहुत खुश हूँ यहाँ आज आप सब लोगों के साथ। आई एम हैप्पी टू बी हियर। थैंक यू फॉर हैविंग मी।
So you're very experienced. You have over a decade of experience, and this is a struggle I'm always having to introduce a person who has a lot of experience, different domain, different geolocations. So can you tell us more about yourself for our listeners? That who is Sumaiya?
Sure, Majid. I would be happy to do that. And I really appreciate a generous introduction. You were really kind. So, in terms of my experience, as you rightly mentioned, that I have been in industry for almost 15 plus years now. I have worked across multiple geographies, four continents, and I have led teams across all six continents. I have been working mostly in three functional areas, as you rightly mentioned: digital transformation, talent management, and product development and product management. Most recently, I have been focused on AI based B2B, B2C, and B2B2C SaaS products. I have been currently working as a VP of product and engineering with our AI and Web 3.0 startup. And I'm also advising multiple startups, as you rightly mentioned, because I collaborate with the startups across the globe. I'm based in North America currently, but I collaborate with startups in Europe, Asia, and Africa as well. If I talk a little bit about my journey, I started as a software engineer. So I started from hardcore development and coding and all those things. But very early on in my career, I was fortunate to realize that as much as I like interacting with machines, and my specialization during my bachelor's was electronics and robotics. So I was really passionate about building some hardware interfaces with using microprocessors and all those things. But very early on in my career, I realized that yes, I love interacting with machines, but I would not be happy to be in a role or in a career where I would only be working with machines or coding or programming for the rest of my life. I always call myself that I am a customer first product builder and a people first leader. So I'm a people's person. I really enjoy interacting with people from different cultural, professional, and different regional backgrounds. So then I decided that let's move on to product development and product management, and that's how I moved to product development and product management. And since then, like, it's been an exhilarating journey. I have been building digital products, mostly, of course, digital products. The product management function itself has evolved so much over the last decade, and now it's more mainstream. When I started in product development and product management, it was not even called product development or management in the mainstream industry. There were different titles or different names for it. As my career unfolded, I got an opportunity to work in digital transformation, mostly in mergers and acquisitions and tech focused mergers and acquisitions, like including AI, big data and analytics, and then cloud mergers and acquisitions. So that's sort of my specialty. And over the course of time, when I became people manager, then I got an opportunity working with a Fortune 100 company to explore the talent management side of business as well. And I really enjoyed doing that. So that's how I worked across these three major functional areas. And I got an opportunity to work across four continents and people from all different backgrounds. And I have been loving it so far.
Interesting. That's very interesting. I have one question that is about what is the one thing that's your favorite memory about product management? Like the one thing that you're like, This is something I will never let go from my mind.
There are several memories, but one memory is definitely very close to my heart because I really enjoyed it more than the product development or the product management focus, because it was mostly about product development. But I was working with this big enterprise Fortune 100 company, and we were in a sort of workshop environment. And there we used design thinking principles to first ideate and then strategize and then to come up with the sort of preliminary roadmap of a sales product using certain I would say technologies or some AI tools for that. So I would not focus too much on the like why it's one of my favorite memories, because we use design thinking principles. And at that point in time, design thinking was is still a new concept in the market. And when we implemented those principles on the product development process in a team or a workshop environment, that was so much fun. And I really enjoyed that process, and like working with like-minded colleagues was another part of it. That's why it's one of my favorite memories. And also, like, finally that got built up by the engineers, but it took a long time. Of course, it didn't happen during that workshop period, but that workshop itself is one of my favorite product development memories, and I will always cherish that.
Mhm. Interesting. That's super cool. Second interesting question, which is, what is your favorite food?
Well, that's a difficult question because I am a foodie. And as I told you that I have lived across the globe, and as much as I love interacting with people from different cultural backgrounds and diverse backgrounds, I actually like, it depends on my mood. I like a very diverse type of cuisine, but I'm originally from Pakistan. So when it comes to food, I think my all-time comfort food would be, for our English speaking audience, I will like translate it, but it's curry pakoda and biryani, mutton biryani. So curry pakoda is a chickpea curry, and then you have the chickpea fritters, which we fry first and then put inside that curry. But it's one of my all-time favorite food. But other than that, I also like Italian cuisine a lot, and Indo-Chinese, I would say. And then I also like Levant cuisine a lot, like Syrian and Middle Eastern cuisine.
Mhm.
I really enjoy it. But again, it all depends on my mood. Of course, like I prefer always home cooked food as compared to fast food or junk food, as we call it sometimes.
Interesting. That's a lot of geolocations you covered in the food part. But the reason we are talking today is our topic, which is really interesting, and I think it's a very hot topic also. It is impact of AI on product management, learning how technology is actually changing the real world product management. And I feel a lot of things. It's going to be a really fun filled discussion because you have been working with AI also, right, recently, and in tech for over a decade. So can you first, let's say, because there are people who will not understand what's generative AI, or what are we talking about, even basic level. So can you quickly explain for our listeners who don't know what is generative AI, how does it work, like, and its fundamentals, like really basics for them to understand.
Sure. So AI has different levels or different types, whatever you want to call it. There is deep learning, then there is large language models, then there is natural language processing, then there are different layers to it. I wouldn't call it types, rather these are different layers. And we have machine learning, deep learning. If I talk about generative AI, it's a subset of bigger AI, and in the most simplest terms, even for those people who have not been working with AI, generative AI is the subset of AI which is used to generate content. That content could be text, that content could be videos, that content could be images, that content could be verbal or voice response in response to your, text or voice queries. So generative AI, in the most simplest term, is the AI which enables you to generate content, different type of or different categories of content.
Hmm. Interesting. That's true. Now let's break a myth first for people, because a lot of my non-technical friends who are not working in IT, who have nothing to do with IT, whenever you tell them, "Hey, AI or generative AI," they always start thinking ChatGPT. So can you break the myth that AI is not equal to, or is it equal to
Uh,
ChatGPT?
well, it's It's not, the AI is not equal to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a, like, based on, of course, a large language model, as we call it, LLMs in the industry or in academia as well. But ChatGPT is just a generative AI interface. As I said earlier, what generative AI is, that it generates content for you. So you give a prompt to ChatGPT, it generates text on the basis of that prompt. It could generate images now. Moving further, you will be able to communicate with the ChatGPT using your voice, and it would be able to respond back using a voice. So, anyways, it's generating content, but we cannot say that AI is equal to ChatGPT, because if I go back to that layering part, AI has different layers. So, like, we have, like, large language models, we have NLP, natural language processing, and then we have deep learning, machine learning, and generative AI is a sort of subset. Yes, it is based on all these different layers of AI, but again, we cannot say that Chat GPT or AI are equal to each other, because that would not be, I would say, factual statement. And one thing which I would also like to help people who don't have a technical background to understand better, that AI could be used in a very different ways. So ChatGPT is just one way of using it, because when we see these robots which act and behave like humans, which have body movements like human beings, which can imitate human body movements, those are AI models, those are working on AI models as well. But that is not ChatGPT. That is a much more complex AI model as compared to ChatGPT. So we cannot equate both of them. But yes, ChatGPT is a subset of AI, or a layer of AI.
Building on top of what you just said, what other things where we say that there are a lot of complicated tools that exist, right? So can you tell us some specific tools? Maybe we even narrow that down for people to understand that, hey, we are talking about product management because you come from a product background. So what are some kinds of tools or technologies maybe in AI that we are using that are actually becoming an integral part of the whole process of product management?
I would say product management or product development, we use a lot of, for example, now, even if we are using Jira and Confluence, which we use for, product management process very often in the industry. But those are just tools. I would not like to endorse one tool over another. Even if I talk about Notion or Airtable or, Bubble and all those no code or low code tools, many of them now have integrated AI capabilities in that. So that's the simplest example of different various tools. Again, this, like, during this session, I would not like to endorse any specific tool, because that's not the purpose here. But all these different tools,
Mm.
whether we use it for the product development process, for example, Notion, Bubble, or Airtable, or these are mostly used for product development. Then if we talk about product management, we use Jira, Confluence. Then we also use, for a product management process, sometimes we use functionality from Discord and Figma, like, for the design purposes. So those are tools for the product management, and again, they have integrated AI capabilities. If I give you a very specific example, and this is a tool, or a product itself, I mean, because these tools are product themselves too, right, which is not very known, but it's definitely is a game changer in product development process rather than product management. It's a design tool, and it is completely based on LLM and AI models. Its name is, if I recall it correctly, User, and it's, you give simple prompt, text prompt, that I want to design the home landing page like this, and it generates the page for you right away. This is one way that you can use that tool. Another way of using that tool, that, let's suppose, that how we do wireframing sometimes by hand as product developers or product management, that we want to share something with our design team, or with our engineering or development teams, mostly with design team. So we draw something on a piece of paper, that I want the page to look like this tab should be here, this tab should be here, this button should be here. Even if you draw something on your paper and you use this product or this tool, you take a picture of that, and it will transfer it into a very professional design or a wireframe based on that picture. So that's like one of the product development tool which I'm loving these days, because it made my job 100 times easier. And not many people know about it. By the way, somebody from Europe has created it. I know that like founders and CEOs, and that's how I got to know about this product. But it's definitely a game changing product or tool in the product development process.
Interesting. That's you briefly touched now that AI can help you in terms of faster prototyping and also iteration, like for example, Copilot from Git.
In short, faster experimentation, right? Because if we prototype faster, if we
Mhm.
create MVPs faster, if we can create designs faster on the basis of one text prompt rather than using Figma, then it's faster experimentation. And the faster you experiment, the faster you get to do the A/B testing, the faster you get to either fail, because I mean, the failure rate in product development, and especially with the product focused companies, is pretty high. So many of the features or many of the new even product scalings, or I wouldn't say new products, but definitely product diversity which has been introduced in these products, like the A/B testing failure rate is pretty high, but the experimentation rate is equally high. And that's how these products, like for example Airbnb, or even some of the products which we use, Uber, like on day to day basis, they are so good because they experiment fast, they fail fast, and they iterate fast. So definitely these tools which are AI
Mhm.
based enable us to even enhance the speed of experimentation, including all different phases of experimentation, while not losing the accuracy of the process.
Now you mentioned two things for me. One, you mentioned that also adapting, doing A/B testing, right? So, for example, we are two people. We are sitting in different geolocations, different gender. Our requirements could be different. So basically, different customer needs, right? What do you think can be the role, or what have you seen in your experience, the role of generative AI in personalizing products actually to meet these diverse customer needs?
Personalization is one of the main features which has enhanced several folds because of AI, because we have very specific tracking systems which we can use, for example, on an e-commerce website. If I take an example of an e-commerce product or an e-commerce website or platform, on the basis of the patterns of customers browsing or the items which they are viewing or selecting or clicking on, the AI model can now recommend them next items on the basis of their past viewing or navigation history. So usually call recommender systems for these type of things. Say, for same example, if I apply it, or for example on a live streaming platform like Netflix. So if for example as a viewer I am looking for a specific type of videos or movies or shows, the recommender system of Netflix will, next time when I will like log in or when I will use the app, will show me similar type of shows, movies or videos. So the personalization is definitely one of the key feature of using AI, but it's not inherent in the AI. Like if you want personalization to be built in your product, so I gave you two example, one of e-commerce and one of live streaming platforms, so the or media streaming platforms, whatever you want to call them. So either case, because the developers or the like product managers or the companies, they want to personalize the recommendation for the customer on the basis of their past history, because that tells them about their tastes, right? So if I, for example, on an e-commerce website, if I am browsing a specific type of clothing, so that means that's my style. So next time if I will log into that website, that will show me similar type of clothing. And one example, specific example which I would like to quote here, and I really like their personalization system a lot, is a Chinese e-commerce platform which is booming a lot these days by the name of Shein. And their personalization using AI is super good, and the type of personalization they use even goes to the sizes of your clothing. So that is the beauty of AI, because it can, for thousands and for millions of customers, it can still keep track of all that data, scan that data at a like nanosecond or a millisecond speed as compared to a human being or a manual system, and then can show the results accordingly. Same holds true for the live streaming or media streaming platforms like Netflix or Hotstars or anything else. But that's where recommendation system or movie recommendation system is applied at the back end. But one thing again which I would like to emphasize, that it is built in to AI, it's not inherent to AI. the personalization part.
That's true. And China is like ahead of everyone. They are filing the most number of patents in AI. If you look at statistics, they had almost more than 60% of all patents globally
Oh,
for AI,
interesting. That was insightful for
which
me
is
because I
yeah.
thought that
Mhm.
probably US is filing most AI patents. So that was a news to me. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing, Majid.
Mhm. I mean, US is not on top. That was surprising, but it was really interesting because a lot of companies are putting a lot of money in. But the whole thing, right? So I was at a conference recently. So because I'm continuing to what you're mentioning, personalization and so on, and I saw a trend at this conference. Every single booth had huge written AI, AI, AI. Every single booth had that. And my problem there was, and I was really questioning, do you really need AI? Because the exact two examples you gave, actually three examples you gave, are on spot. That yes, that will help me as a customer. For example, the Sheen one, where they're able to recommend you products, which makes sense because they will understand my behavior. But I saw a tool in the observability space, and they had written, yeah, AI can help you improve your observability. And I was questioning the guy, okay, how does this really help me as a business? How does this help me? And the only answer they gave me, yeah, it will basically realize that the API was down and it will restart the service. I was like, but can't you just write a script for that? That whenever API is down, restart the server yourself. I mean, Amazon does it without even having any AI there. So, do you think every single product we have right now actually needs AI? Because a lot of companies are also blind following, the trend of this whole AI.
Sure, Majid. So there are two parts to your question, as I understood. One, I would like to clarify or elaborate that personalization is just one use case of AI, right? There are multiple use cases of AIs. For example, AI could be used for being more customer centric. AI could be used for more data analysis or for being making more data driven decisions, because AI can analyze huge amounts of data in a fraction of a time as compared to a manual system or a human being. So just to be clear, that personalization is just one use case of the product. Now coming to the second part of your question, which is again linked to the first part, that do we need to use AI for each and every product? Look, I always tell people when they say that how generative AI or AI will or has impacted product management or product development so far, the basic traditional processes and principles of product development and product management, as I see them, will stay the same. I mean, stay the same means that of course they will keep on evolving as they have been evolving for last decade or so. They will evolve for the next decade as well. But if we say that just because AI is there, yes, the speed would be better, that yes, there would be more customer centric, yes, there would be more data centricity, there would be the speed of iteration or experimentation would be better, they would be more cost effective. But not each and every problem or the pain point of customer requires a AI solution. So it's extremely important to understand not to fixate on any given technology, because AI is just another technology. Yes, it's life changing technology. It's one of the biggest revolutions since the industrial revolution. There is no doubt about it. But again, at the core of it, AI is just another technology. Just like when internet came in and world wide web came in, everything changed, and then it evolved with the passage of time. The speed of evolution increased. AI will increase it several thousand folds, as we have already seen since the launch of ChatGPT in back in November 2022. Like, there have been so many apps which have been built on top of ChatGPT or utilizing ChatGPT. So speed of experimentation, speed of iteration, speed of prototyping, speed of MVP building is has increased tremendously. But the basic principles or the basic process of product management or product development has not changed. And not every product requires AI. It's just a technology. If you want to solve a certain pain point or a certain problem of a customer, that is what is most important. If you think AI can enable you to solve it more efficiently and effectively, why not use it, employ it? But if there is no real efficiency, efficacy, and effectiveness achieved by the implementation of AI just for the sake of implementing another technology, I don't know how reasonable that would be and how cost effective that would be from a product development point of view.
Now, you mentioned customer centricity, right? So, customer centricity means we are talking about the customer experience, customer satisfaction. So, how can AI in general actually help me as a product manager to improve my customer experience or customer satisfaction? You have been giving examples, like uh, you can give them better recommendations and so on. But how can what kind of impact should I say has AI already shown on customer experience? Did it increase it? Did it decrease it? Or
Well,
what have you seen?
AI, wherever it has been implemented to solve a specific customer pain point or problem as required, has definitely enhanced the customer experience many folds. And how it has enhanced the customer experience, because, for example, earlier, I will give you another specific example here because we are product people. So let's talk in specific examples. So, for example, earlier, if I wanted to connect with a help desk or a help service of our product, my only option was to chat with them or to send them an email or to make a phone call, right? So, like a regular phone call if their number is given there or provided there. Now, with the advent of AI, specifically generative AI, because it enables you to interact with the system through your, not only through the prompts, which is of course the text form, but also through your voice. So that is a added advantage, because if you have millions and millions of users, for example, consider that you have Uber or you have Amazon, and if you want to interact with them using your voice as a customer, which would be much more convenient because we all speak, right? And we speak in different languages. And even if we are like using one universal language for the sake of this example, if that language is English, maybe it will take, at least for me, I always prefer, I'm a voice person, so I always prefer to interact with another person or another speaking entity, because of course AI is not a person. And also it has accelerated the speed of communication. So that's one way, other than personalization part, that AI has improved the customer experience many folds. And there are many other use cases where AI has been involved. For example, if I do a search using Perplexity, if I recall the product or the platform name correctly, now they are employing AI at the back end and large language models in order to do search like Google. But the data analysis or the capacity of the system to analyze certain amount of data based on the keywords or based on the key phrase or based on the voice command which has been given by the user would be way higher, and the type of results would be improved as per the user specific, I would say, query. So that is another way that the customer experience has been improved or enhanced by AI, because it has the potential and it has the capacity to analyze large amounts of data or information in a fraction of a time as compared to previous systems when we were doing it without AI.
Interesting. For me, AI is super cool. I'm using AI. I mean, I'm telling everyone, don't need premium accounts anywhere. Just try it out. How does it work? See how can it actually assist you. Like imagine you have an aspiring partner sitting with you 24/7 and you can utilize it, right? And because we are talking about product management, so how do you basically, let's say, balance the use of AI with traditional product management methods? Because we are seeing a lot of change. I mean, it has increased significantly, like you mentioned, the speed of prototyping, the speed of design, the speed of development. But what about the stage where the product manager comes, the product typical product management role?
First of all, I would like to say that probably we don't have to balance any of this. As I said earlier, that if you are a customer centric product manager or product developer, the focus should and would always be on solving the customer pain point. If AI as a technology is required to solve that problem in a more effective manner or in a more efficient manner, then utilize it. Now, if you say that how to balance it, so again, the balance is on the basis of the customer needs. And when we talk about where would the actual product management or product development process will come in, it's very simple. For example, I mean, I'm not saying that AI will not achieve that level of creativity, because now we are talking about AGI, which is like artificial general intelligence. And once that would be there, it would have empathy like human beings. Apparently it would have, I don't know exactly right now because it's still in the process. For in next 3 to 5 years maybe it would be in the industry and market. So the human creativity would be there, the human empathy would be there, and a lot of other things would be there. But I still believe that if you talk about product development or processes or core product development practices, so if you tell me today that I have a specific problem as a human being, I don't think so that AI right now, at least, will able to come up with ingenuous solutions based on the creativity which a human mind can create. So ideation part again is, I think, very core product development thing. Or like so you have a problem, you have a pain point, how to come up with a solution. Because we talk in product management about three things, right? Why, what, and how. So why we want to build it, what we want to build it is way more important than how we want to build it. And I think that the why and what part of product management or product development process is still pretty much human dependent, at least as of now. I'm not saying that AI would not be there very soon, because I mean, fingers crossed. We have to see. But with AGI, there is a lot of opportunity and chances that it will imitate some of human creativity, human empathy, human understanding, human emotions. So we will see. But of course, that comes with a lot of concerns with ethics, regulation, and compliance of AI itself. So that is something which I always say when we talk about AI or AGI, or using it in the product development or product management process. And at some point in time, maybe replacing our traditional product developers or product managers. But the ethics part with AI, the compliance and regulation is extremely important and necessary.
So that's always a discussion, right? About AI is going to replace people out, like completely. For example, and the best use case is the Copilot, the coding supporting tool. A lot of companies are actually using Copilot. It did not fire people, but it actually helped accelerate one. Then second, it improved the quality of the development. So the products actually grew. Like I talked to some people who are using Copilot. So do you really think AI, if it becomes even AGI, like you mentioned, it would replace the people out completely, or there is still human intervention going to be there?
Majid, that's an interesting question, but a loaded one as well. Let me break it down. Look, if it will be able to imitate human creativity, human emotions, human understanding or empathy, it is already understanding human language, which like few years earlier people say, "Oh, no, AI cannot speak like a human, or AI cannot understand our language, human language." But now it is there. Next 3 to 5 years, or even a next decade, what it will bring, we don't know exactly at this point in time. We are progressing towards that. AI has a lot of potential, and a positive potential if you want to utilize it positively as a technology. But if people say that it will replace human beings completely, and especially when you gave this co-pilot example, that where AI is now used to code itself, not itself, like, but for the coding purposes. So I think when I get into product development process, there are certain things when you give a certain prompt to AI, when you give a certain even piece of code or a module of code to AI, and you ask AI to build something similar to that. Right now, at least whatever I have used for the product development process, sometimes the outcome of the AI systems, whether it's Chat GPT or any other system, the point is that sometimes it's good enough. I wouldn't say that it's completely accurate, but sometimes it's not even like at par with the code which you have provided as an example. Well, people will argue that you can keep on repeating the same process to train your LLM so that it can provide you more accurate outcome. But the whole point which I'm trying to make here, I believe that AI will not replace human beings or product developers or product managers specifically, but human beings using AI or utilizing AI will definitely replace those human beings who are not utilizing AI to enhance their productivity, whether it's in product development or product management process, or in any other field or area of work or life.
Interesting, because now you mentioned LLMs training and so on. There's one thing always, like I don't remember. It was with one of the famous models, like AI generative AI tool, and they asked the CTO, like, okay, you trained your model based on the data of the internet. How is that ethical? Let's say Sumaiya has her website. It is Sumaiya's content. I mean, it is to help other people, or it is to offer the services that Sumaiya has, but they are using this, right, also like fetching the data out from there and then educating or training their LLMs. Do you feel that that's actually ethical? Because in India there was, I forgot the name of the actor who actually did a case, and now his voice, video cannot, or images cannot be used to train any AI, and if they find out, he can actually sue them.
Well, interesting. I didn't know about that litigation case. It's a very interesting question because I would say two things here. As I said earlier, that it's really important to put regulations and compliance around AI. Right now, we live in a world where AI is progressing at a very fast pace and at an exponential speed, right? But the regulation or compliance around AI is not moving at the similar speed, and I think that's definitely a challenge as I see it as a product developer, but in general as a person in tech or as a human being in general, that's one of my concerns. But when the specific example which you gave, I would like to equate it with something different. So you are talking about scraping data from internet, so that data or information scraping is done by AI models now, right? And they can go through, as we discussed earlier, large amounts of data at a like fraction of the time or speed as compared to a manual system. But my question is that, let's suppose if we talk about websites like Wikipedia, which, and if there is a individual's profile there on Wikipedia, that information is scrapped from different websites, could be their personal website, could be other websites about them, could be a book, or could be a biography or autobiography. So the point is that that has been done manually by the volunteers, right? That's how Wikipedia is formed. And that information is put in one location. So that is done manually or by, non-AI systems. That is still scraping the data from internet. And if AI is doing it, yes, we definitely need to put a compliance or regulations around AI, but I don't see that how it's different from what we have already been doing through a World Wide Web or through the since the time of advent of internet, because those
There is a
there is a
difference.
regulation and compliance thing which we definitely need to put around AI, that to what extent AI can penetrate into someone's personal information or details, because AI has certain capabilities that it can go really deep into personal data. But and again, I'm not saying that AI ethics are really important, and I think if we will not put that type of regulation and compliance around AI, this technology, we will not be able to capture its potential in a positive manner as we would like to, because we have already been seeing that AI has been used in automated weapons, and I don't believe that's a very ethical use of AI. But again, that's my personal opinion. But definitely, AI ethics is something which I am highly interested in, and I am concerned about it as well. That if it will not be in place, we will not be able to keep our mastery over AI as we would like to have.
Now, taking a step back on what you mentioned, now you compared Wikipedia to a tool, let's say ChatGPT, Perplexity, or any tool. Wikipedia is a not for profit, so it runs on donations. People give the money from the public, and people, like you said, volunteers edit it. They don't get paid. So basically, there is no money. But there, in the case of AI or tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, Perplexity, and so on, these are for profit. That's the thing. So they train the LLM models based on my knowledge, my data, to make money for their company. So a few people actually become millionaires and billionaires. And it's crazy to see how much money there is, in the whole AI sphere. So that's why the question then becomes, okay, is it really the same? Because for me, it's not. Wikipedia is still good. I still use Wikipedia.
No, it's. didn't say that it's same. I never
Mm,
said that it's same. I said it's comparable. There is a difference. I think that what you are referring to, that utilizing people's personal data and personal information to build huge amount of profits for a certain section or for a very small percentage of the society. I think it's not only AI. It has been happening through other technologies or through other modes as well. It's just that AI, because it has certain human like capabilities, and very like with the passage of time, it will actually be sort of comparable, even if it's not equal, is not the right word, because I still think that human capabilities or human intelligence is way more advanced and has way more nuances in it as compared to AI. But at the same time, it will probably, especially with the advent of AGI, it will come closer to human intelligence, and it would be at a comparable level. So definitely that's why I'm emphasizing over and over again that I am a proponent of AI ethics and putting very strong compliance as well as regulation around our AI systems, may it be generative AI or any other form or type of AI.
understood. I don't know if I know EU is trying to work on something for the law, but now coming back to also the topic, because you're working in AI and there are people who are in normal SaaS products, which companies which have not actually implemented AI, or they are not planning to implement AI because they don't see a use case right now. Maybe in the future they will see. But what kind of trends have you actually seen already that you believe that product managers should be aware of in terms of AI?
We touched upon it slightly earlier in our conversation. So, as we said, that of course there are now tools based on AI or AI driven tools, which have increased which have provided the capability to product managers or product developers to increase the speed of experimentation rapidly. Then we also talked about the design use case, that now we have products where we means that even if somebody is not a skilled designer, if they are familiar with the basics of generative AI, they can still produce pretty good designs or pretty professional designs. Earlier, like if for example I am not a trained designer, I don't know how to use Figma or Adobe or different softwares, then probably I would not be able to generate professional designs for my product or for my website or whatever we are building, right? Now we can, by giving a text prompt, by giving a voice prompt, by giving a hand built wireframe is a term which we use in product, right? But for non technical users, what is a wireframe? It's just a demonstration or description of how we want to see a certain frame or a certain page or a certain functionality on our product or on our website, right? So even if we build a hand drawn, like if we create a hand drawn image of that functionality or of that specific page or of that specific part or phase of the product, you can give that to a AI based tool, and there are tools which are already out there, and they can generate very professional designs. That another use case of AI, which is changing the product development or enhancing the product development process. Another one would be definitely huge amount of data analysis, because earlier when we used to define our north star metrics, for example, for any product, then we used to define certain other matrices to monitor that how our product is doing or what feature is working or what feature is not working and what feature to kill and when to kill and so on and so forth. That data analysis, because of AI capability of doing it at a fraction of a speed and time and huge amounts of data as compared to product developer or data engineering sitting using manual system. So the point is that that is another use case where efficiency has increased several folds. Then we talked about personalization, right? In the product development process or product development mode, personalization again is to an extent which we see right now, not in future, right now, is only possible because of implementation of AI. So and then we, if we talk about, for example, enhancing the customer experience itself, that how the customer will interact with the interface or the product itself, I think that AI has increased or improved that several folds as well. As we discussed how, like, using the voice prompts and so on and so forth, but there are many other use cases as well. So these are few use cases or examples where AI has definitely enhanced, I wouldn't say changed. Yes, the product development and product management has been evolving and it will keep on evolving just like any other domain. But AI has definitely enhanced the capabilities for the product developers as well as for the product managers.
Interesting. Now, you have been working with AI, also implementing AI products, right? So, I have one question, but would love to hear two perspectives. So, one is what are the challenges that you feel product managers face? The first one, when they're implementing or building an AI product, and second is when they are implementing practices of AI into their day-to-day use, like you mentioned, utilizing it for a design or something like that.
Challenges are many folds. I mean, first of all, it's not, if I talk from a basic perspective of product development, let's talk about the cost. People think that it's very easy to have your own LLM or to train that LLM. First of all, for a LLM, we need huge terabyte, gigabyte, I don't know another term, like huge amounts of data to train a LLM to reach a very small level of accuracy. So, if we talk from a product development perspective, other than some huge tech players like Google, Amazon, or OpenAI, or Meta, so on and so forth, do you think that all the startups or all different products can have their own LLMs and can train it as well? From a cost point of view, it's not feasible for many of the startups. From a time point of view, it's not feasible. So that's a challenge as well. Then, on top of that, from a resource point of view, and when I say resource, I'm talking about human resources here, that it's not easy for them to have that many level of data scientists or prompt engineers or product managers who are so skilled to just sit and experiment over the period of, let's suppose 6 months or 1 year. So that requires a lot of monetary but as well as human skilled resources, and that's not feasible for like startups or other than these big enterprises or blue chip companies, whatever you want to call them. So that's one of the biggest challenge I definitely see while using or building AI products. Then second challenge would be, so which is linked or it builds on the first challenge. So if I am a startup, if I don't have that type of funding or that type of monetary resources, I don't have that type of skilled human resources to build my own LLMs and then to train them, then the question arises that if there is a very specific use case or a customer pain point for which I definitely need to or want to use, want is not the right word, need to use AI, then I have to depend on one of these models, right? Either I'll go with Llama, either I will go with OpenAI model, either I will go with the Google model or Amazon model. In that scenario, again, the ethics part, the information flow part, the control part, how would I ensure the privacy security of my customers by while using my product, while using my website, while I am using LLM of someone else? And I don't have entire control over it. Yes, there are cybersecurity solutions which we can put around it or envelope a certain LLM, but again, those are like, this is still one of the challenges, that how good or effective those cybersecurity solutions are if the LLM is not in-house or built for that specific company or product. So that's another challenge. We talked about cost, we talk about the security challenges or reliance on like certain big models, too much reliance on certain big models or available models in the company. And now the third one is again is a combination of both of them. So when we are using these few models which are built by large enterprises because they have the resources to build those and to train those, then again it brings to the consolidation of the industry when we say that what type of LLM or what type of AI we are using, right? Brings control back to two or three big organizations, because at the base of other products they are using these LLMs or these AIs, right, in simple terms, and which again brings monopoly in the market or in this bigger diverse competitive industry. So a certain level of, like, we don't want perfect monopoly in the industry, we don't want perfect competition in the industry either, we want somewhere to be in the middle of the continuum. But if, like, again, because of the nature of the LLMs, or because of the nature of the AI implementation during the product development process, if we are pushed or compelled as product developers to use those few available big LLMs, then again the question arises that how the consolidation of like AI power or industry is happening in one place, because these players will have all the power and authority, who are providing different products or different startups with their base LLMs or with their base AIs. And so these are the three main challenges which I see using or building AI driven
Mhm.
products.
And what about when implementing, like, how are you using, what can be the challenges for me as a product manager if I want to use AI?
First of all, of course, skill set, that we now have to build an additional skill set with at least basic understanding of AI. So earlier I used to see, and I still see, a lot of people coming from non-tech backgrounds. For example, they have a sociology or psychology degree, or a marketing or a business degree, and they ventured into product management just because they were really good communicators, because that's another area which product managers are required to be skilled at, that how can they communicate with all the stakeholders, whether internal or external. So those people, because just because they had a certain native language or they were good communicators um, inherently, or they build that skill over the period of time, they become really good product managers. But with the advent of AI and with the more and more implementation of AI, I strongly believe that if you don't have the basic understanding of tech, like if you're not coming from, I'm not saying that you need to have a tech degree for per se, but you definitely need to have tech skills or basic understanding. Sometimes when I interact with different product managers in my team, or people who come from non-tech backgrounds, it's extremely challenging for them to understand, like for example, a certain piece of a code or how it will work, even if they don't need to understand the code, but what would be the implications of that code. So for example, in terms of development time, for example, because we as a product managers are responsible for giving those timelines to our executive team or to the
Mhm.
CEO of the company. As if we are, like for example, if I'm a VP of product or a CPO, then I am responsible to decide those timelines and communicate it back to the executive team or the CEO of the company. And if I am not a technical person, if I am unable to understand that what AI solution could be built in X number of days or number of weeks and so on and so forth, maybe that would be a challenge in implementing AI. Another challenge would, again, so my skill set again is a challenge, not having that AI specific skill set, or not having the basic required skill set to understand at least the overall working, or the how the LLMs work, how NLP work, how machine learning works, how deep learning works, is definitely a limitation for people who don't have that basic background. Then AI is the second challenge which I see in implementation as a product manager or product developer. AI is evolving at lightning speed at this point in time. It's extremely challenging to keep up with all the new developments in AI, and specifically, even if we talk about generative AI, right? And all the new apps which are coming, all the new masking apps which are coming out of that generative AI. So I think it's extremely challenging for product managers and product developers, on top of their already very demanding jobs, to keep up with all this evolution, or I would say rather revolution in generative AI, and to keep up with all of that, and to stay ahead of the learning curve, so that they can implement the latest technologies as and when required for a specific use case, customer problem, or pain point, whatever you want.
That's very powerful information as well. But because we are also coming towards an end, I didn't realize we already have been recording for over 50 minutes now. So, any advice that you would like to give product managers, with respect to AI or in general?
Advice is a very heavy word. I would say that based on my experiences and learning, in general, I would say that product development or product management would still be 80 to 90% about managing your stakeholders and their expectations, with or without AI. Because here we are, first stakeholder is customer, and then we have our development team, our design team, our engineering team, then we have our business teams like sales, marketing, customer success or customer excellence, whatever you want to call them. And we have to bring them all together, like to one point. The quality of dealing with cross functional teams and finding that convergence and bringing them to one point, whether to implement a new feature, whether to launch a new product, or whether to kill a feature. Because as product managers, we have to kill our own ideated features many times as well, like ruthless prioritization, right? That's what we do in product management. So I think 80 to 90% of the core role of product managers would still stay like that, at least in near future, with or without AI. So I would like product managers to focus on that. But definitely, as we talked about it earlier, that AI probably will not replace human beings. Rather, human beings using AI will replace human beings who will not use AI. So it's important to upskill yourself on time to time basis, and to understand at least the basics of AI, and to immerse yourself into experiences, into products where you can definitely develop a product or launch a product or ship a product which is using AI. So that's one way of doing it. But then there are a lot of other ways of doing it as well. So that's my 2 cents when it comes to advice. As I said earlier, it's a heavy word, and I believe that we all learn from each other. So that's how I would like to approach this process.
That's very valuable advice, because advice is a powerful word, you're right, but it is also important that we share our experiences with others, because maybe the problem you had yesterday is my problem for tomorrow. That's the beauty of product management for me, because I see sometimes I'm always asking some of my product manager friends, I'm like, hey, did you ever have this problem? Or they are writing, hey, did you ever have this problem? Like recently it happened. I think it was like November last year. So a friend of mine reached out and he was like, Majid, I'm struggling with this issue in portfolio management for product. And I gave him an insight that I actually used a technique. We never had the problem at the same time. So it's all about when does who have the problem.
And that's what I said, that learning from each other, it's very important, because when we share experiences, when we share our skills with each other, I strongly believe that we all learn from each other. And that's why platforms like this podcast is so important, that here we are sharing, different people come from different domains, from different fields, and they share their own learnings, their own experiences throughout their journey. And that's how we all learn without doing it ourselves. And sometimes it's very wise to learn from the mistakes or experiences of others. Sometimes it's okay and it's fun as well to make your own mistakes and learn that way. But sometimes it's wise as well to learn from other people's experiences and mistakes.
Well said. Thank you so much again for joining in today, Sumaya. That has been really inspiring and very insightful, because AI is really also sensitive topic and also something we have to educate about. But would you like to say something as a final closing remark for our lovely listeners?
Thank you so much for having me, Majid. It was an absolute pleasure to be here with you and with all our listeners. I would just like to say that AI is just another technology. And yes, it's a revolutionary technology. There is no doubt about it. But I think it's very important for all of us as product builders, product developers, product managers, and in general as humanity, collective humanity, that we utilize this technology of AI just like any other technology for the good and for the overall progress of humanity. We have already been seeing that this technology has not been used for, I would say, very positive outcome. And I think that's why I'm a huge proponent of putting global and international, I would say, uniform principles and regulations and compliance in place for AI. And it should be similar to everyone working in the industry, work or getting impacted by AI. Like it should be similar across the globe, across geographical boundaries, across countries. And only then we would be able to utilize the power of this revolutionary technology of AI for our benefit, rather than this technology mastering us to a level that we would not be able to contain it or control it for the benefit of overall humanity. So I think that's my message, that yes, it's a revolutionary technology, but please use it in a very responsible manner. and AI ethics should be there, and try to bring your collective conscience while building digital as well as non-digital products using AI in a way that would I be like to be treated this way by an AI tool, or if not, then I shouldn't be building it as a product builder. That's my like last message to our listeners and audiences.
Thank you so much again for the really deep message as well, because it touched a lot of points. But if the listeners are wondering, you can connect with Sumaiya with on LinkedIn. The link would be mentioned into the description. So to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the executives this week. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course share it with your network, or argue, as a matter of fact, with Sumaya if you didn't like something she said. But until next time, this is Majid signing off.